It's shaking, isn't it? Oi, we should turn down the background noise. Okay, so it seems that the wind blowing sound effect is on a different level than the background music and the voices, which means I can't lower it. That's not great. But we'll try to work with it.
バトラ君、柵からあんまり身を乗り出しちゃダメだよ。落ちちゃうから。
落ちる落ちる。
チェックしよう。さっきからみんながニヤニヤ笑ってたのはこれだったのか。
So, this is a super high-speed boat that the captain started modding. Oh, yes. That piece of junk boat from 6 years ago doesn't hold a candle to this one. I'm glad Marie is enjoying her time.
落ちたら海じゃねえかよ。溺れちまうぞ。パラシュートだじゃねえぜ。浮き輪はどこだ。ライフジャケットをくれ。
なんだよバトラ。おめえそれ何の真似だよ。
ジェシカちゃんもマリアちゃんもいじめちゃ悪いって。バトラ君も怖いなら甲板に出なきゃいいのに。船内ならもう少し怖くないと思うけどな。そいつはサンキューだぜ兄貴。海難事故の犠牲者はいつも船内なんだ。生存者を抱いて事故時は甲板なんだぜ。だから俺はここにいる。でも揺れる。落ちる。
マリア、よしなさいったら。でもバトラ君、本当に苦手なのね。
Oh, don't worry, he's got this. He's fine.
船長さんに速度を落とすように言ってきたよ。
No, no, tell him to go faster.
ローザおばさんありがとう。海の上でも安全運転、徐行運転、指差し確認。
ダメよローザ。青年には試練も必要なんだから。ねえバトラ君、これくらいへっちゃらで克服できちゃうわよね。じゃないとおばさんとエジプトに行けないわよ。
エヴァおばさんの意地悪。あーダメ、落ちる。ライフジャケット、パラシュート。
I don't think either of those are going to help you. Just hold on.
いや、ひっくり返して考えるんだ。敵の狙いは何だ。俺をこうして怖がらせることか。そいつが狙いなら甘いぜ。ビビってなんかやるもんか。でもダメ、落ちる。
If I'm gonna learn any word in Japanese, it's gonna be that word, I bet. I'm just saying the likelihood of it is high. So, after I made a huge fool of myself for a while, Aunt Rosa had a talk with the boat captain, and he slowed down to a more manageable speed for me. I think what we're gonna try to do, here's a thought, is that the background music keeps reverting to 100%. And the voices, so I can't do a lot about that. Like, I can turn it down to 30, but then it keeps going back to 100. So I want to ask you, for the next little bit, we're just going to try to keep both things at 100, and I will adjust the audio with my video editor. Let me know how that sounds. That's, I'd like to know that. Anyway, let's continue.
これくらいなら さっきのは生きた心地がしなかったぜ。
Apparently, the max speed I can tolerate is extremely low. But that just now was completely insane. The whole boat was shaking, sliding and leaping on the ocean's surface. It felt like I was riding on the back of a flying fish. Jessica was still gawping at me as I leaned against the railing, tired and disheartened.
さっきは力比べで負けたけどよ、もっと重要な部分で負けてなかったことが分かって私は嬉しいぜ。いやしかし
くっそー、好きなだけ笑えよ。いつか弱点を見つけ返しててめえの胸もみつぶしてやるぜ。
Sure.
見つけられたら考えてやるぜ。
おお、バトラヘロヘロ。
ああ、バトラヒロヒロだ。海も空もごめんだぜ。俺は陸の上で死にたいさ。
Maria was patting my back, so I patted her head in return. Her expression was blank, as usual, but I realized that she wanted to console me.
バトラ君、船長が罪滅ぼしにってドリンクをサービスしてくれたよ。飲んで一服しないかい？落ち着くよ。
George Yaniki and Kumasawa Bachan brought us all glasses with floating ice cubes and canned drinks. Judging from Kumasawa-san's big grin, our parents inside the boat were all probably rolling around laughing at my moment of pure terror. Darn it, I'm so embarrassed that I can't bear to face any of them. If I didn't change the subject somehow, I had the feeling I'd be the butt of everyone's joke for the whole trip, so I tried to think of something harmless to talk about.
ああ、ジェシカ、クラウスおじさんと夏日おばさんは元気なのかよ。
親父とおふくろ？残念ながら元気だぜ。二言目には勉強しろ勉強しろってうるせえけどよ。秀吉おじさんとかルドルフおじさんとかそういうこと言わなそうだから羨ましいぜ。
とんでもない。僕も受験を控えてた頃はいっつも受験受験って言われてたよ。うるさくも思ったけど今は感謝してるよ。
はあ、やっぱりジョージ兄貴は人間ができてるな。ちなみにうちは絶賛放任中だからな。なんにも言われないぜ。まあ言われたって聞かねえけどな。
バトラさんはまだご実家には戻られておられないのですか？
うん、まあちょくちょく戻るようには。まだ服とかだいぶ前の家に残してるんで。
おお、バトラ、お家が2つある？
まあな。
どうしてお家が2つ？おお。
Only Maria, who couldn't really grasp the situation, voiced her naive question. However, the others just shot nervous glances at me, choosing not to respond even though they know the answer.
マヤ、ほら船着き場が見えてきたぜ。ほらあれ見えるか？
船着き場見えた！船着き場見えた！
Apparently, Jessica was trying to be nice by changing the subject. Ah, well. I'd rather not talk about it if I can help it, but it's uncomfortable to have it treated like some weird taboo. I don't mind that much myself anymore. I am a member of the Ushiramiya family. But the truth is that, for these last 6 years, I've been living with my grandparents on my late mother's side, and I've even been using her family name. When those grandparents passed away one after the other, I had basically no choice except to go back and live with the old man. Don't get me wrong. I didn't just run away from home or anything like that. The only one at fault here is my dad. I don't really blame Kairi-san. Being able to hold that old man's reins and ride him out is no mean feat. Still, the betrayal that old man inflicted on my mom... Well, unfortunately, I still haven't fully gotten over that.
もうすぐ着くね。
George Aniki cleared his throat, trying to change the topic.
失礼しました。年寄りが余計なことを言ってしまったようで。お気に障りましたら。
へへ気にもしてないし触ってもないぜ。気にすんなよ、熊沢のばあちゃん。
Kumasawa-san seemed to regret speaking out of turn. But I was more concerned about being worried over something like that, so I stood up and passed it off lightly. After that, I had a sip of my drink and headed over to Maria and Jessica, who were gazing at the silhouette of the island.
バトラ、島が見えた、島が見えた。あれあれあれ。
Sounds very excited.
おお、見えてきたな。6年ぶりでも記憶と寸分変わらない島影だぜ。
Does everybody in this family have like the family crest or something on their clothes? Because everyone seems to have the same symbol on their clothes. At least a vast majority of them. The small island silhouette in front of us had gotten pretty close. This island's name is Rokinjima. It's a small island about 10 kilometers around, located in the Izu Archipelago. That's the word that I was looking for. Since they call this archipelago the Izu 7, lots of people think there are 7 islands, but that's not true. There are actually more than 7. Rokinjima is one of the minor islands that don't get counted. Even considering that, there are probably very few people who know about this island. After all, only the people of the Ishiromiya family come to this island. In other words, it has no ties whatsoever to outsiders or tourists. So you'll never find this island's name in a travel brochure. This is because all of Rokinjima is an estate possessed by the Ushiromiya head house. Only the Ushiromiya family lives there, and only people connected to the Ushiromiya family come and go to and from there. There's nothing except for a harbor and a mansion. The vast majority of the island is still just uncultivated forest. Such a waste, when it could be made into a nice golf course. I suppose. However, when you realize that the entire coastline is a private beach, it starts to sound pretty magnificent. You might have realized it by now, but to put it simply, well, the Ushiromiya family is just rolling in dough. Yeah, I figured, private island, private airplane, boat ride with entire family. The fortune possessed by the head house is apparently vast. And Dad and the others who make up the branch families have built up plenty of wealth for themselves, finding success in their respective businesses. I've been living a commoner's life at my parents' home these 6 years, so I'd completely forgotten, my grandparents' home. But the old man's house really is elegant, and everything about it is tuned to match the snobbish taste of the annoyingly rich. Come to think of it, I guess that means that George Aniki, Jessica, Maria, and I are all wealthy high-class gentlemen and ladies. Needless to say, none of us feel that way at all. I don't see myself as being rich, and George Aniki, who takes self-discipline very seriously, doesn't let himself get too comfortable. Jessica is always complaining that she'd rather move to the city than be rich. And Maria is still a kid who isn't even interested in money at all. Does that attitude really make us any less snobbish? From the perspective of people in poverty who can't pay the bills, we really have been blessed with a lot. This isn't the place to explain any further, so I won't. In my head. Anyway, it's the same as not being able to choose the parents you're born from. I didn't ask to be born into a rich family. And I don't really think it's something to be envied. It can be pretty trying when people are prejudiced against you just because you're rich and refuse to judge you by your merits. As I pondered these sentimental thoughts, Maria started shouting and leaned over the railing.
Nai.
どうしたんだよマリア。何か落としちゃったのか？
Use your words, Maria. Maria kept yelling, "Gone, gone!" At first, it sounded like she dropped something, but while she shouted, she also pointed out over the ocean.
どうしたの？何がないんだい？僕も探してあげるよ。何？
If she dropped something, she probably would have looked down at the floor, but Maria was pointing out over the ocean. One would assume that she saw something out over the ocean, but she kept saying that it was gone. Strange. Dum bum bum. However, since my last memories of this place came from 6 years ago, I was able to spot it before Aniki, who comes here every year.
あ、確かさ、この辺の小さい岩の上に鳥居みたいなのがなかったっけ？そうだ、確かにあったぜ。島に近づいてくると最初に迎えてくれる目印みたいなもんだったからよく覚えてるぜ。
Well, I think she was supposed to read that.
6年ぶりなのによく覚えてるもんだぜ。
I was told that the reason they don't read those lines is because of it's just glitchy. It isn't because they're not voiced.
あったね。僕も思い出したよ。鎮守の社と鳥居みたいなものが岩の上にポツンと立ててあったよ。
Okay, I was actually a bit curious about this. A torii is a ceremonial entry gate to a Shinto shrine, painted red. The words tutelary god was originally so, which means the god of a region or a place. So basically it was an entry gate? Sounds like it.
そういえばないね。去年は確かにあったと思う。
She seems upset about this.
大方、波か何かでさらわれちまったんだろ。小さい岩だったしな。だいぶ風化で脆くなってたんだろうさ。
私もそうだと思ってるんだけどよ。亡くなっちゃったのはこの夏のことなんだよ。なんでもよ。
ある晩に大きな稲妻が落ちてお社を砕いてしまったんだとか。
Is that supposed to be like creepy wind or regular wind?
鎮守様に落雷があるなど、これは不吉の兆しに違いないと。くわばらくわばら。
Kumasawa-san smiled impishly as if teasing us, rubbing her hands together. However, Maria was apparently taking it seriously. And she stared fixably over the ocean to where the crag housing of the god of the shrine was supposed to be.
不吉の兆し。
よせよ熊沢さん。
I'm sure that's not, going to be important or anything later.
マリアはそういう冗談の通じない年頃なんだからさ。
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。偶然だよ。何も怖いことなんか起きないよ。
George Aniki put a hand on Maria's shoulder to calm her down, but Maria's sharp-eyed expression didn't budge.
不吉。不吉。
Maria muttered that word over and over. Apparently, repeating a single word over and over is a habit that Maria's had for a long time. Yeah, we noticed. However, since the word she was saying was literally an ill omen, it was a bit creepy.
おいおいマリア、そんなに何度も繰り返してたら本当に不吉がやってきちまうぜ。
I tapped Maria's other shoulder. And then, Maria whipped her head around, stared into my face, and spoke unblinkingly.
不吉。来る。
来るってどこからさ？
I answered lightheartedly, trying to break the tension in the air. At that moment, Maria held up a finger, raised her arm high, and pointed to the heavens. When I looked up, I saw the sky was still just as cloudy, but it had grown a great deal more leaden than it had that morning. That's right. They were saying that a typhoon was approaching. We had planned to spend one night on the island, but if the storm doesn't pass quickly, I won't be able to make it to school on Monday. Well, I guess that makes for a pretty good excuse to be absent. She apparently sensed some kind of misfortune in this cloudy sky. She's been muttering that non-stop for a while now. Girls at Maria's age tend to be very impressionable. She's just about that age that many girls start to get excited about sixth senses and whether they have any psychic potential and stuff. For all we know, this might be due to her childish sensitive nature.
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。天気は今夜くらいには崩れるかもしれないけど、明日には良くなって綺麗な青空になってるよ。
Oh, I'm sure it will. That's totally why I'm playing the story.
綺麗な青空。
そう、明日になれば綺麗な青空になるよ。止まない雨はないし、晴れない雲だってない。
止まない雨、晴れない雲。
確かに台風が近づいてるけどよ、すぐに過ぎちまうって。大丈夫さ、マリア。
Marie started yelling, "Ooh, ooh!" It looked as though she was having a tantrum, because no one could understand what she was trying to say. What in the world is Maria trying so desperately to warn us about? Probably nothing important. Unable to understand her, we couldn't help but feel a vague sense of misfortune. I've heard that everyone can feel the supernatural, but that it weakens as you age. That might mean that Maria, the youngest one of us all, still had possessed some kind of sense that the rest of us had lost. I wonder if that sense is sending her a warning. At that moment, Kumasawa-san quietly opened her mouth.
なんで六軒島はその昔。
熊沢さん、その話はなしにしようぜ。
Just as Kumasawa-san was about to tell some kind of story, Jessica sharply interrupted her. For Jessica, this was an extremely firm reaction. I wanted to push her further, just out of simple curiosity. But judging by Jessica's appearance, it would probably be something that would further inflame Maria's unease. If I did try to press her for the story, the odds were pretty good that it wouldn't be anything but bright and cheery.
それは申し訳ございませんね。ここの風は年寄りには応えますんで、ちょっと失礼させていただきます。
Man, okay. Gossipers have no reason to hang around after they've been told to stop chatting. That's true. When Kumasawa-san finally realized that she'd overstepped her bounds, she went back inside the boat. After she left, Hideyoshi Oji-san came along to replace her. Since he'd shown up partway through, he'd completely failed to notice the complicated atmosphere that hung about the scene. So, he refreshingly and unwittingly swept that atmosphere aside. So, in the end, it was his unwittingness that brightened the mood.
もう到着だそうやないか。
Thank goodness, gotta get away from this creepy girl who's probably sensing that we're all going to die.
おう、もうちょいやの。今日はのんびりスピードだから時間がかかった。
I know, right? Maybe we should have gone a bit faster.
誰のせいやねん。
うわ、秀吉おじさんもう勘弁してくださいよ。
もっと言ってやってください。たく、バトラのせいで時間かかりすぎだぜ。
ふう。
Maria probably thought that no one would listen to her. She hung her head, wearing a fretful face. Yes, she might have just been doing that just to attract attention too. As she did, George Anarchy crouched down to meet her eyes and spoke to her kindly.
マリアちゃん、何も怖くないよ。だって僕たちが一緒だもの。一緒だと何も怖くないんだよ。言ってごらん。
一緒だと何も怖くない。
うん。一緒だと何も怖くない。
そうさ、ジョージの兄貴の言う通りだぜ。俺たちが一緒にいるといつだってなんだって絶対に怖くねえんだ。
I don't even know the story, and this is just humorous to me to listen to.
な、ジェシカ。
ああ、間違いないぜ。ジョージ兄さんの言うことはいつも本当だよ、マリア。
ジョージお兄ちゃんはいつも本当。
うん。僕は嘘をつかないよ。だから信じて。みんなと一緒にいれば何も怖くないんだよ。
ジョージお兄ちゃんは嘘をつかない。信じる。みんなと一緒にいれば怖くない。怖くない。
Maria jumped into George Anarchy's arms and hugged him tightly. After Anarchy patted her head, she jumped away again. Her facial expression had undergone a 180-degree change, turning back to normal. She was once again the ordinary Maria.
みんなと一緒だからもう怖くない。
ああ、そうだぜ。もう平気みたいだな。マリアは強いな。偉いぜ。
マリア偉い。
なんや、どうしたんや。マリアちゃん、船酔いだったんか。ん？
No, Maria just did that weird thing again.
まあそんなとこです。もうじき着きますね。
The harbor was already drawing near. Oh, there's floral thingies, fancy looking. And there's a clock.